Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Expected Buffalo, the offering. And we are gathered here this evening after a loss to the defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. All in all, not a bad game. All things considered, for about 40 minutes of that, they were competitive. They were in it. They looked like they were up to the challenge physically and with the speed of that game. Now, in the third period, things unraveled. Florida showed why they are who they are and why they won a Stanley Cup last year. And that was that. You got the script flipped on you. It was 5-2 the first time around without two of their key players, and they come here fully healthy. And then Florida puts up a 5-2 spot tonight. So, not the end of the world. You're not going to win them all, of course. Points in 5 of your last 6 coming into this game, winning 3 in a row coming into this game. All good things to build upon. No need to feel that momentum can't continue. And we're going to get to that in a little bit here and talk about the upcoming schedule and all of that good stuff. And, why this a bump in the road, but there's no reason why this has to go off the rails by any means. It needs to be great concern about what we witness here tonight. So we're going to talk about a few things tonight. The look ahead, I think I want to save for the end. I kind of had that written down in the beginning, but we'll save to the end. I definitely want to talk about the Quinn and Cozens situation, and I want to bring up something from the summer that really started to show its ugly face for the first time tonight, potentially. And then we'll get into the look ahead of what we have coming up here. A couple of days off for them kind of reset and get themselves going. But we're at game 10. Tonight was the 10th game of the season. And we're still having... I put them both in the same category because really Jack Quinn and Dylan Cozens are two of the guys that I think are having the biggest issue for the most part on this team, I would say. But for me, there's clear differences between the two. So we'll take Cozens because he's, I think, the easiest one first. It's still not great. It's still not where I want it to be. I think he has another level, and I think he has to show that pretty soon that he can get there. I do think we're taking some baby steps towards getting better play than we were getting maybe a few games ago. The opportunity is starting to come. He's not finishing, and I don't know when we just sit here and say maybe he just can't finish at the high level in this league. I mean, this is a full season and now a month of another one. We're having this issue, but at the same time, it just seems like it's snake bitten, but it is what it is. But he's doing a good job playing penalties. I feel like he's starting to skate a little bit more. He's done some okay things defensively. And for the most part, his numbers, are not as bad as Quinn's are. So Quinn, on the other hand, has been abysmal since night one. I don't know what happened, but he just doesn't have it anymore. At least, not anymore. Doesn't have it right now. And you're in a spot where he is, I don't even say that arguably, he is the worst forward on your team right now. Unquestionably, I think. He is turning the puck over consistently. He's not doing anything when he's on the ice. It seems like he's playing for the other team. They're giving up a lot of chances. Pucks are dying on his stick. It is bad. I mean, just his numbers, if you just look at it from a team perspective, just the forwards, at 5-on-5, there's 5-on-5 numbers, individual expected goals, so his shot quality, when he does take shot attempts, he is ninth. I'm sorry, he's tied for 10th, tied for 9th on the team. His individual shot attempts, he's 5th, so that's not bad. But the interesting part here is his unblocked shot attempts. He actually drops all the way down to 11. So it means he's taking shots of potentially bad shots because they're getting blocked and not making it to the net. So that's a concern. His total points for 60 obviously is the lowest in the team among forwards who have played. I mean, Lafferty has no 5-on-5 points, Benson none, and Kubel none. So he's above them, but he's 11th. Yuri Kulik has more points per 60 minutes. It's just a whole bunch. Then you get into his on-ice numbers, which are then just horrendous in themselves. I'm not going to read them all off to you, but they're not good. And really, it's Quinn and Cozens have been a thing since day one, and I think that can't be a thing anymore moving forward. Excuse me. Like Lindy when he talks at the time, and I think this approach is perfectly fine. He talks about having pairs that he thinks can play together, and so that's why you see like your I guess probably it's Tage and Tuck, and then Quinn and Cozens, um, Greenway and McLeod, and then so on down the lineup. I don't know what it's going to take. This feels like this is maybe the one criticism I'm going to have of Ruff so far this season. This is clearly not working between Quinn and Cozens. You put Benson there, didn't work. You put Krebs there for some time, didn't work. You put Kulik there, mostly didn't work. You put Kubel there tonight, didn't work. You put Zucker there, didn't work. Like, you're out of guys. You are out of options. You seemed unwilling to move Paterka down there because maybe that is the answer to unlock it, but then it's what do you move up the lineup? And I get that, and you don't want to disrupt your first line because really that's the line offensively that's mostly carrying your team right now. But I completely understand the unwillingness to try to move off of that right now. Got it. But there has to be a split here. That second line is killing this team. For the most part of tonight, the 3 of the 4 lines were going. I don't want to say going, but we're above expected 50% expected goal share. And then Tage's line started to have some issues, and it started to come down. And I think at the end of the night, only the fourth line was the one that ended up with plus expected goals. But it's been a constant issue the entire season, and they're at least recently they're winning in spite of it. But it can't continue. You can't rely on Thompson's line to carry the offense. You can't rely on Ryan McLeod to score at a 35 goal pace. Like, come on, that's going to come back a little bit. And they're probably starting to get going now, I guess. They've looked better. They had a lot of chances tonight against Florida, so that's good. That's encouraging. Florida is a good penalty kill team, so that's something I think you can take away from that game. But it's still, for the most part, at least it has not been giving you scoring, so you got to get it at 5-on-5. Your defensemen have stepped up. That's helping. Darlene put another goal in tonight, or first of the season. Power another point. So like that, you're getting some contributions from your defense, which again is mitigating or at least overriding the negative that you're coming from your second line. It's got to be fixed. Can't continue. I mean, just those two together, Quinn and Cozens in natural stat trick at 5-on-5, they're a 36% goal differential. Horrible. They are a 45% shot share differential, so your Corsi, and they are a 38% expected goal share. The team, without Cozens and Quinn on the ice, they are a 55% Corsi team, they are a 57% goal differential team, and they are a 51% expected goal share team. It's got to be fixed. It is your biggest problem right now, is figuring out that second line. I think the obvious answer is you put Jack Quinn in the press box, and that breaks the two of them up. He already sat one game. I think he needs to go back again. It's not working. It can't continue. It cannot continue. You have a whole week of practice to figure something else out. I don't know when Benson's going to be back. I would assume probably not this upcoming weekend. Especially now that he just went on IR, so we'll see. But in the meantime, to figure something out, you get Kulik back in your lineup, take Quinn out. I don't know, maybe you go Zucker, Cozens, Kulik, and then you put Kubel in there. You bump Krebs up to take Zucker's spot, and then maybe you can get by for a couple games until you get Benson back, and then you do what you have to do there. But I hope it ends. I really do. I'm the leash is done. I sort of understood trying to let him play out of it. He had that goal, the empty net goal, the full length shot to seal the game against the Red Wings. So maybe you keep him in, you go back to him, see if that gives him, a boost. No, just as bad tonight. And it's, I mean, Kubel is like is the biggest. I think the biggest wake up it should be. His numbers just didn't look good. he gets away from that line, and then there he is again. One of the best chances that line had is when Quinn wasn't on the ice. Melenstein came out with Cozens and Kubel, and I think there was 2 scoring chances. That was the one that Kubel was right in the crease and somehow put it over the net. I mean, it stinks, and you need Quinn to figure it out. I don't know. There's just so much wrong there. The speed of the game, the indecision, the skating, the puck management, the passing. It's every part of it. There's not one good take. Even with Cozens, I could say he kills penalties. He's getting scoring chances. He's around the net. You notice him in some regard. It's nothing from Quinn. The only thing from Quinn you notice is when he is horrendous for the 4th time in the game. It's really unfortunate. He was one of my key players going into the season. I thought he was going to have a great year. And they're in a tough spot now. So, and where does that lead us? Well, that leads us to this conversation that I really try to avoid and kind of got sick of over the summer. But we're 10 games into the season, and here we are. It is game 10 of the season. You are playing the defending champs in your building. You have one injury at forward, and your injury is Zach Benson, who really shouldn't be relied upon as a top 6 forward at 19 years old. You're playing the Florida Panthers, and your second-line winger is Nicholas Aube-Kubel. Can't happen. Can't happen in this season. Like, they are sitting there right now with $7 million in cap space. The Eastern Conference Atlantic Division, for the most part, looks like it's down. It looks like it's open. The opportunity is there. Look, I get it. You're game 10, game 11, whatever. Like, nobody's making a deal with you right now, probably for the most part. But $7 million in cap space because you couldn't get that forward that everybody said you needed in at least the middle 6 of your lineup, besides the sucker move, another one. And here you are, game 10 of the season, having Aube-Kubel be your second-line winger. And I don't want to hear the Benson's hurt thing because he shouldn't be there yet either. He's not ready for that. He doesn't have the production potential, if you will, to play in that role. He should be a third-line winger, and that's what he would excel at. I think that was the most frustrating thing going into tonight before the game even started. Seeing that lineup card come out, seeing him there, you're playing the defending champs, and that player is in your top 6. And I love Kubel. I think he is a great fit in the bottom 6. He showed that speed, physicalness, around the net, agitator, dog in the forecheck. Nowhere close to a top 6 winger. You can't even sell me on like mix because the mix isn't even good for that. Like he's not like Quinn and Cozens for what they are. They want to get out and go, and Kubel is not that. He's a mucker grinder. Get on the forecheck. Those other 2 aren't good at that, especially Quinn right now, who can't figure out where to be on the ice. He can't win a puck battle. It's just it didn't work. And again, right now there's no answer to it really. You're gonna have to put Kulik back in there. Hope that he gives you better performance. I mean, he has given you better than Quinn so far, but it's frustrating. It's frustrating that it only took 10 games for me to look at the lineup with only one injury, and it's not even a top 6 guy technically, and point and go, there it is. There it is already. And I don't know what Adams can do right now. And that was the whole thing going into the season, and people were like, well, they can make a trade if they need to. This is the NHL. Nobody makes trades really until at the very earliest December. And that's late December. Just GMs don't do it. It's rare. Can happen, but rare. It's frustrating, and maybe Benson comes back, they figure it out. I mean, with Quinn playing the way he is, it's an even bigger problem now. It's really all it took. It took one injury And for one guy to not, I guess you could say, play at the potential of what you expected, for that glaring issue to show itself. And it didn't take long. And really, like, I'm not going to continue to hammer on this because it's beat like a dead horse and it's everything. But it's frustrating. It's frustrating when this team looks better. It looks like that they can compete in a conference that is more open, and especially a division that looks more open around than you probably expected. But this is going to be a thing. It's going to be a thing unless someone else can step up. And that's asking a lot of Yuri Kulik, for example. It's asking a lot of 19-year-old Zach Benson. And I thought this team was past that. I thought we were past relying on young players, 20 and younger, to be an impact player for you in a top 6 role, scoring line role. And I don't want to end this podcast on like on a negative note, because I don't think that's what it needs to be right now. I don't think we need to be in negative world if they lose the game. It's just something I more wanted to call out because of my overall frustration, and I noticed it right away when the lineup card came out. And I thought about it throughout the weekend when I saw Kubel was playing, in practice at least, was practicing with that line. But in my head, I'm like, no, they're not going to do that. Sure enough, there it is. But let's spin positive here. Okay, let's end this on a more promising note, if you will. You end October strong. You get 9 out of a possible 20 points. Not ideal, but you also take points in 5 of your last 7 games to end the month. If you can do that, if you can take points at 5, and take points in 5 out of every 7 games, that's going to put you in a really good spot as the season goes along here. So we talked about this a little bit last time that I did one of these, is that the schedule, again, lines up really nice for you. So again, you're still really in a good spot here. Like, let's just look at your next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games. You end your homestand at home against the Islanders on Friday. Should be a winnable game. Then you go to Detroit on Saturday. Not a great team. You host Ottawa on Tuesday, Election Day. And then you go to the Rangers. That's a tough one. Flames come to your house. They're playing well, but they're traveling across the country. Then you have Montreal at home. Should win that. You have the Blues at home. They're kind of up and down. They have some injuries. Then you're on the road to Philly. Philly. And then you start your West Coast trip out in LA. Which I feel like they always, or is it Canada? They always seem to play well on one of those trips. I think it's a Canadian one. They play well. But really, I mean, Islanders, Red Wings, Senators, Rangers, Flames, Canadiens, Blues. Just even those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Take 5 out of 7 points out of that, or points in 5 out of 7 of those games. Do the same thing you just did in your 7-game stretch, which I think is 4-2-1. 4-2-1. If you take 7, was it 4, 2, 8? So it'll be 9. If you take 9 out of 14 points, I mean, that's a decent pace to set yourself at. And now, you probably need to get a little bit more of a streak going in some regard, because you have ground to make up for, the slow start to the season when you were 1-4-1 or however it ended up being. But, 9 out of 14 is 6.42 points percentage, over the remaining 72 games, let's say. That puts you at a pace of, plus the 9 they already have. That's a 101 point pace. I don't know. That definitely gets you in. Maybe it's a little bit high in aspirations, but something around that. 8 out of 14. Maybe that's the more ask. 8 out of 14 and you're in 7 games kind of gets you where you need to be to be a playoff team. So I'm really curious how this weekend's going to go upcoming. They played well. They had a loss. Sabres of the past maybe start to unravel here for a week or two, then they find it. They need to reestablish themselves. And it has to start on Friday. You're running the go-aheads again, by the way. So should be feeling good in that regard. So get it going, and you're fine. As I said a few times, this division looks to be open. Reset yourself, get going. Don't let it get away from you. Okay, it's late. 20 minutes here, longer than I thought we'd go. So we had a few days off here to kind of kick some ideas, kick some things around before they're back in Friday, Saturday. So I'm sure we'll talk again here before the puck drops for another game on Friday. So thanks for listening. Enjoy the next few days, and we'll talk again here pretty soon. See ya.